Okay, Shalom. I'd like to start off by saying Barakatah Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Racha HaKodash. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is a continuation from the lesson did yesterday, entitled The Valley of Jehoshaphat / Armageddon. This will be part 2 to that, and Lord's will, we can get some edification going through this, and tying in, the Vatican, and these popes and cardinals, bishops, that pagan form of worship, which all religions on the planet stem from the Roman Catholic Church. Hopefully we can tie all that in to show you how these popes and cardinals and stuff in this Roman Catholic Church plays a very devious part in bringing the end of the world and pushing out the agenda of the international bankers. All right, what you're looking at right now is a map of of the land of Israel. This is up by Galilee. You have Samaria here, Gilboa, and this is what they Jezreel. This is what they call the Valley of Armageddon, or the Valley of Jehoshaphat, which they're trying to equate the final battle just being right in this area, but it's far greater than just this. It's not just going to be in that area. It's going to be in the whole of the Middle East, as you can see here. Let's see if they have a bigger map. Yeah, you can't get. Let's see. All right, it's the whole of the Middle East. Let me just see if I can get something better. Oh man. All right, thought I messed up. All right, let me just get Middle East map. See, because Esau is carnal, and when Esau does things, what they try to do is they try to pinpoint every little thing, to a particular area, as they did in the map that I had just previously showed. Let's see, this one here. They'll try to say that this is where the final battle is going to go down, and that's not the truth. I mean, this is a part of the area, but it's really the whole of the Middle East, and then you're going to have all these different armies, Russia and all these different armies coming down all in this area here, which is considered the Middle East, to fight this final war, World War III. All right. I looked up the word Armageddon. This is the Smith Bible Dictionary. They have different Bible dictionaries. They go off, but they're pretty accurate in this. But they're once again pushing this area here as being the final place where this battle is going to take place, and it's really going to take place all throughout the Middle East. So it says Armageddon, the hill of or city of Megiddo, Revelation 16:16. The scene of the struggle of good and evil is suggested by that battlefield. So it's the scene of the struggle of good and evil suggested by that battlefield. It says the plain of Esdraelon, which was famous for two great victories of Barak over the Canaanites and of Gideon over the Midianites, and for two great disasters, the death of Saul and Josiah. Hence it signifies in Revelation a place of great slaughter, the scene of a terrible retribution upon the wicked. And that's what it is. It's the scene of terrible retribution, because this is going to be the final judgment that's going to be meted out to the wicked of the earth for polluting the earth, for polluting the minds of the people, for destroying the people, for destroying the animals, for destroying vegetation. I mean, for just allowing homosexuals and lesbians and transgender just to run rampant and make people that are not into that feel ashamed because they're not a part of it or even accept it. So all this wickedness that this devil is, slavery, how could I forget slavery, and all the wickedness that this devil has done, so that's what Armageddon is really, it's a future war that's coming, between Yahushua, the righteous angels, and Esau and his military. And the word Armageddon comes from the Hebrew word Har Magadwan, which means Har is a hill or mountain. God is up ma at the beginning of a word is of or from. God is troop, and the down at the end makes it plural. Har Magadwan, mountain of the troops. Okay, as you see here, the revised version gives the name as Har Mageddon. An example, the hill as Ar is the city or of Megiddo. So Har Magadwan is the mountain of the troops or mountain of troops. Now this is the Eastern Bible Dictionary. Armageddon occurs only in Revelation 16:16, as symbolically designating the place where the battle of the great day of almighty power, verse 14, shall be fought. And it's symbolic for that, but it's not talking about that particular area, just that area. It's talking about the whole of the Middle East where this war is going to be fought. All right. It says the word properly means the Mount of Megiddo. It is the scene of the final conflict between Yahushua and the Antichrist, which there's many Antichrists. They're just trying to say that this Yahushua against one man. No, it's Yahushua against this whole system and anyone that's against the Lord. You have 2/3 of Israel that's against Yahushua. They're Antichrist. You have the Pope and the Roman Catholic Church and these different religions. They're part of Antichrist. You have atheists. You have anybody out there, Moabites, whatever, that's into any other religion, that's against Yahushua. All right, that's basically what the word Antichrist means. It's not just going to be one particular person. It's a whole group of people that are the Antichrist. And Apostle Tar did an excellent video on it. If you brothers type on his channel, I believe you type in Antichrist, it should come up. It says the idea of such a scene was suggested by the Old Testament great battlefield, the plain of Esdraelon, because there were great battles and disasters that occurred there. So the Lord used that, as symbolically stating that there's going to come a great slaughter and a great destruction at the end, just like he used the Valley of Hinnom, which they called Gehenna, as a future judgment, which same way that the judgment was going down out there. But these Christians and these demonic rulers and leaders have suggested that there's a place called hell where you're going to burn. And that's not the case. That was an actual place. It was a valley where they used to burn trash, and it was like a dumping site, and they used to, some history says that there were criminals brought there and executed there or burnt there. It was a scene where Jake would burn their children to Molech, So the Lord Yahushua used that as a symbolically for the end destruction that's coming, So we pretty much got that, it's pretty much a symbolic. So let's go to Isaiah 55:6. It says, "Seek ye the Lord while he may be found, call ye upon him while he is near." Why? Because we're coming to the time where the Lord is about to close shop. He said that he was going to return to his place until they acknowledge their offense. In their affliction, they shall seek me early. So the nation of Israel is going to seek the Lord early when they're found in a situation where they have no hope or no help from the person that they've been trusting in, which is Esau, the so-called white man. But the Lord said that he's not going to listen, because they're not listening right now. Apostle Tar, once again, he did a lesson on the microchip, about warning. We're supposed to give warning to these people what's coming, whether they hear or whether they forbear, as the Lord told Ezekiel. And if they don't listen, then that's on them. It has nothing to do with us. Their blood is off of our hands, So it says, "Seek ye the Lord while he may be found, call you upon him while he is near. Let the wicked forsake his way, and the unrighteous man his thoughts, because our thoughts are not the Most High's thoughts," as it says, "and let him return unto the Lord, and he will have mercy upon him, and to our power, for he will abundantly pardon." Because we as men, sometimes we try to do things our way And that's not the way it's going to go down. It's either the Lord's way or the highway. It says, for my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, saith the Lord. So the Lord has a purpose and prophecies that have to be fulfilled, and they will be fulfilled. Whether you're a part of making it happen or not, you're still working for the Lord, regardless. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. For as the rain cometh down and the snow from heaven, because there are reasons for these things to happen, and returneth not hither, because it doesn't go upwards, it comes downward. But watereth the earth, and it waters the earth because the Lord has a purpose for that. That's the way he set it up. And maketh it bring forth in bud, that it may give seed to the sower and bread to the eater. Why? Because the Lord promised the early rain and the latter rain. Right? It says, so shall my word be that goeth forth out of my mouth. And by the way, shalom to the Akim on the comment board. It says, so shall my word be that goeth forth out of my mouth. And the Most High's word is the same way. Once it leaves the Lord's lips, so to speak, that's it. It's going to accomplish what the Lord sent it to accomplish, and it's not going to return back unto him void. So shall my word be that goeth forth out of my mouth. It shall not return unto me void, but it shall accomplish that which I please, and it shall prosper in the thing whereto I sent it. Why? Because the Most High put his name on it. The Most High swore by his name that he's going to do these things. So he's not going to break any of this, not even for his great name's sake, because his reputation is on the line, so to speak. You know, I hate to use that term, but just to put it in layman's terms, so brothers could kind of get an idea, you know, that the Lord is not going to go back on his word, period. It says, for you shall go out with joy and be led forth with peace. And this is talking about in the kingdom. After all these things happen, the mountains and the hills shall break forth before you into singing, because even the earth is going to be rejoicing and happy. And all the trees of the field shall clap their hands. Instead of the thorn shall come up the fir tree, and instead of the briar shall come up the myrtle tree. Why? Because now the earth is defiled. And that's why you have weeds and thorns and, you know, things of that nature, because that goes back to the curse the Lord put upon the earth after Adam went off, and also after Cain killed his brother Abel. The ground was cursed. And it shall be to the Lord for a name, for an everlasting sign that shall not be cut off. All right. Yep. The brother from Hawaii, Numbers 23:19. The Most High is not a man that he should lie, neither the son of man that he should repent. Hath he spoken and shall he not do it? Or hath he spoken and shall he not make it good? Yeah. So whatever the Most High said he was going to do, he's going to do. All right. Now let's go from there to the book of Revelation 16. And we're going to go straight to the point, because there's a lot of reading here, a lot of meat. But the Lord said that his words were going to come to pass. You know, he said new things that he declared that will be, but that will come to pass. Part of these new things that are coming to pass, you know, is the microchip technology, and there's also these different wars that are happening upon the earth. This is the book of Matthew 24:6. And you shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. So right now, we're at the very time of the end. You know, it says, for nations shall rise against nations. We've seen that. And kingdoms against kingdoms. We see that. And there shall be famines. We've seen that. And there's going to come more famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. And all these things are already happening around the world. All these are the beginning of sorrow. So now we're at the point where everything is escalating, because the time is near. And Yahushua said, when you see these things happen, and know that the end is near, know that I am near, even at the door, you know, because these things must come to pass before the Lord, the Most High, Yahweh, can send Yahushua back. Habakkuk 2:2, the Lord answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak. And it's speaking right now. you know, and that's why you hear the drums of war for World War III and things happening and little skirmishes here and there. So everything is the stage is being set up. But the major prophecy that has to happen before that can come to pass is the microchip. The microchip has to be fully implemented around the planet before World War III can finish, so to speak, you know, for lack of better words, and not lie. Why? Because the Lord said He's not a man that He should lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry. That's right. So the Lord said that these things are not going to tarry. And like the brother from Yahweh there from Hawaii said, put Luke 21:28. And when these things begin to come to pass, then look up and lift up your heads, for your redemption draweth nigh. And that's what we're waiting for. That's why we keep our eyes on these prophecies. Like the Lord told Habakkuk right here, I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower, and will watch to see what He will say unto me, and what I shall answer when I am reproved. Because that is the job of a prophet. The job of a prophet is to do the work, or to warn the people of what's coming. To warn the people of what's coming. Because that is the job of a prophet. Amos 3:7. Surely the Lord power will do nothing, but He revealeth His secrets unto His servants, the prophets. And these are the secrets, the things that are happening right now, the mysteries of the prophecies that were written thousands of years ago. Isaiah 62:6. It says, I have set watchmen upon thy walls, O Jerusalem, which shall never hold their peace day nor night. Ye that make mention of the Lord, keep not silent. So we're supposed to continually warn the people about things that come, and give Him no rest till He establish and till He make Jerusalem a praise in the earth. And we're supposed to continually beg the Lord to take this devil out. We continually beg the Lord, you know, to keep us, you know, and to raise us up out of this low condition. And we also supposed to be warning Israel, Esau, and the other nations of what's coming. Ezekiel 3:17, Son of man, I have made thee a watchman unto the house of Israel. Therefore, hear the word at my mouth and give them warning from me. Right. So one of the major things outside of the mark of the beast that we're supposed to warn them about Salaki brothers, is World War III, because that's what's coming. All right. Now, the book of Revelation 16, when you read, there's all different types of precepts on World War III, you know, and the lesson that we did yesterday, which was the Valley of Jehoshaphat, Armageddon, which is part 1, you know, went into some of those precepts, you know, how the Lord is mustering these troops and how He's bringing those armies over there into the hell is this bullshit? Into this area over here, you know, which is the Middle East. And you have a lot of different armies already there. You have the American troops already all through there, you know. So this is the future judgment, or the future place of that judgment. So now Revelation 16:12, and the sixth angel poured out his vial upon the great river Euphrates, and the water thereof was dried up, that the way of the kings of the east might be prepared. And the angels are the ones, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, that are manipulating the minds of these kings, so to speak. All right, of these kings, so to speak, to do the things that they're doing. Just bear with me 1 second. I'm just trying to write a couple of things down so I won't forget that just came to mind. Just bear with me 1 second. There was another precept that came to mind, but I can't think of it right now. So let's go from there. Okay, I got it. Spirit brought it back to me, bro. Okay, now let's go first and foremost to the book of Proverbs. I know it's in the 20s, but I'm not sure exactly which one. I believe it's 21:1. Proverbs 21 and 1. Let me just go to Proverbs 21 and 1, see what that says. The king, that's it, Proverbs 21 and 1. The king's heart is in the hand of the Lord, as the rivers of water. He turneth it whithersoever he will. So whatever way the Lord wants the king's heart to go, that's the way it's going to be turned. That's the way it's going to go. And how does he accomplish this? Well, this is how the Lord accomplishes it. Job 33 and 15. In a dream, in a vision of the night, when deep sleep falleth upon men, and slumberings upon the bed, then he opens the ears of men and sealeth their instructions. So when men are sleeping in that deep sleep, that's when the Lord seals their instructions of what they're going to do the next day. And it's no different for these different kings out there, or these different rulers of these nations, that he may withdraw man from his purpose and hide pride from men. Why? Because the Most High is the one that ruleth in the kingdom of men. And the one more is the book of Daniel, chapter 10. And just bear with me 1 second. Right. This is Daniel 10 and 12. Then said he unto me, Fear not, Daniel, for from the first day that thou didst set thine heart to understand and to chasten thyself before the Most High, thy words were heard, and I am come for thy words. But the prince of the kingdom of Persia withstood me 1 days. So this king had a strong mind, and Yahushua was working on his mind to turn him to where he wanted him to go. But the king was so stubborn, it took 3 whole weeks, which the Lord could have did it quickly. But remember how the Most High hardened the heart of Pharaoh. So this king was staunch. It says, but lo, Michael, one of the chief princes, came to help me, and I remained there with the king of Persia. Why? Because these instructions had to be sealed in this particular king. But the king was being stubborn. Okay? So Yahushua and Michael worked on his mind to make them to do what the Lord wanted them to do, wanted this particular king to do. All right? So that's just the proof that the Lord has the hand of these kings, in the heart of these kings in his hands, and he turns it wherever he wants it to go. So that's why it says back in Revelation 16:12, and the sixth angel poured out his vial upon the great river Euphrates. And once again, let's go here. You know what? Let me leave this one. Let me just go here. Euphrates River. Let me just go there, go to images, see what comes up. All right, right here, the Euphrates River. So this is the area, you have the Euphrates River that dumps out into the Persian Gulf. And this is the area of the great future scene. And there's a reason why the Euphrates River always comes up. We read in the book of Revelation how the angels are prepared. They're holding back the 4 winds so that the destruction doesn't come. Why? Because there's still prophecies that have to be fulfilled. All right. So it says, so this great river Euphrates, and the waters thereof was dried up, that the way of the kings of the east might be prepared. Why? Because these kings, which are in the east, in the Middle East, they are being prepared for what? For this final devastation, for this final destruction, for this final war to end all wars. And they're all up in this area here. And the Lord is working and manipulating their minds, right? It says, and I saw 3 unclean spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon. Now the dragon represents the Roman Empire. Now, in this time now, is a representative of America, because America is like the headquarters of the revival of the Roman Empire, because they took on that same spirit and that same the same way that the ancient Romans used to rule. America took on all those same customs from the law, being written from the law being written in Latin, to the Colosseums, today they call stadiums, to all the architecture of their government buildings being set up with the Roman columns as they have. If you type in online, you type in if you type in government building structure or something like that, government building or government buildings. Let's see what comes up. See, all these government buildings are all set up how the ancient Roman Empire was set up with the different columns. You know, you have Wall Street that's set up like that. These are even, this is in Spain. You know, so even these governments, the Edomite governments outside of the Americas, are set up the same way. So the America is no different. They got the same structure as the ancient Roman Empire. You know why? Because this is the revival of the ancient Roman Empire. You know, that's why today America would be a representation of the dragon, which the dragon is the Roman Empire. You know, and you look through all these different government buildings, courthouses, and they're all set up as the ancient Roman Empire. As you see here, this is part of the ancient Rome, and then you had also had Greece. I'm sorry, this might be Greece. You know, so you had the Greek temples and the Roman temples were all set up the same way, and it's no different with America. They have the same government entities. That's right. The brother GMS Army 144, he said like Petra. You know, that's right. Petra was also set up the same way. If you look at what they did was they actually carved out of a mountain. They carved Roman architecture. And who was one of the greatest builders back then in Rome? Herod the Great. You know, which Apostle Tahar said, you know, he believes that's Trump, and it makes sense that it would be Trump because he's been the greatest builder, and he really doesn't own those buildings. He just sets them up in you know, to be built. You know, just like Herod wasn't the owner of those buildings, he was just building them. You know, so Petra is the same way. So all of these government buildings that you see, everything comes from ancient Rome, and America is that dragon today. So it says, and I saw 3 unclean spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon, which is the Roman Empire, representative today of America, because America is a revival of the ancient Roman Empire, and out of the mouth of the beast, which is the EU and NATO, all right, and out of the mouth of the false prophet, which is the Roman Catholic Church. And these 3 entities here, America, revival of the Roman Empire, UN and NATO, NATO and the EU, and the Roman Catholic Church are all working in conjunction to bring about this new world order, to bring about these different wars, as Lord's what we're going to show you in this lesson. It says, for they are the spirits of devils working miracles, and you see them working miracles. They have this technology. Then these devils, they'll say that the Virgin Mary's face or appearance appears certain place, and people believe it. They say Fatima appeared over here, and people believe it. You know, they have sent planes, helicopters, and stuff off the ground into the air. Those are all miracles. It says, which go forth. So these 3 entities go forth unto the kings of the earth and of the whole world, all these different kings around the world, to gather them to the battle of that great day of the power Almighty. Now you might say, well, the Roman Catholic Church is the pretty much a demonic spiritual entity. So how do they have influence in gathering these kings of these nations to prepare war? Well, all you have to do, first and foremost, is go back in history to when the Muslims were fighting against the Christians during the Crusades. Now, the Crusades were headed by who? By the Roman Catholic Church, by the popes, to fight against the Muslims. Why? Because they set up Islam and the Muslims, you know, to go and fight against the people that were the Christians and the Jews that were still around the area of Israel, to get rid of them, you know, out of there, so that they can take that land and possess the land of Jerusalem. So these crusades. So, but what happened was the Muslims, once they conquered Jerusalem instead of giving it back to the Pope, they told him to go fuck himself, because they figured that Allah was with them because they were able to take that province down. So they figured that Allah was with them, which Allah was a false god, that was created by the Roman Catholic Church. But they really believed that there was a such thing as Allah. Even though the name Allah is the word, the Hebrew word for the word God, which the great power is Yahweh, and Yahweh Shai and the angels. Those are different powers, but their religion did not exist. That was a false made religion. So there was a series of wars that were headed by the Roman Catholic Church to fight against these Muslims. It says the Crusades were a series of religious wars between Christians and Muslims, started primarily to secure control of holy sites considered sacred by both groups. In all, 8 major crusade expeditions occurred between 1096 and 1291. The bloody, violent, and often ruthless conflicts propelled the status of European Christians, making them major players in the fight for the land in the Middle East. So that's what it was. And it tells you what the Crusades are. It gives you the different crusades, the fall of Jerusalem. And this is when the Muslims, the Arabs, came in there and finally destroyed this place. And a good movie to watch to get some of that history is the movie The Kingdom of Heaven, with Liam Neeson and Orlando Bloom. It's an excellent movie showing you, what happened when they were fighting, to take over, when the Muslims were taking over Jerusalem and the temple. All right. And then you got the different Second Crusades and all the different crusades that were fought. So these were wars that were started by the popes and by the Roman Catholic Church. During the time of World War II, you had something called the Reichskonkordat, which the Reichskonkordat was a document that was signed by the Pope, which we'll read a little bit of it, to bring peace and pretty much to end World War II. Right? It says the Reichskonkordat between the Holy See and the German Reich is a treaty negotiating between the Vatican and the emergent Nazi Germany. It was signed on 20 July 1933. I'm sorry, it wasn't to end the World War II. It was World War II hadn't even started. It was signed on July 1933 by Cardinal Secretary of State Eugenio Pacelli, who later became Pope Pius XII, what you see back here. Well, I'll show you a picture of that devil in a minute. On behalf of Pope Pius XI and Vice Chancellor Franz von Papen, on behalf of President von Hindenburg and the German government, it was ratified September 10th, 1933, and it has been enforced from the date onward. The treaty guarantees the rights of the Roman Catholic Church in Germany. Okay? It says when bishops take office, Article 16 states that they are required to take an oath of loyalty to the governor of the president or the president of the German Reich established according to the Constitution. The treaty also requires all clergy to abstain from working in and for political parties. So they're not supposed to be involved in politics, and this document stated that they weren't supposed to be involved in politics, because the job of the Pope pretty much is he's a politician. He's a so-called spiritual politician. And I use that term spiritual lightly, So they're going around creating policies around the world and causing these wars to break out. It says Nazi breaches of the agreement began almost as soon as it had been signed and intensified afterwards, leading to the protests from the church, including in 1937 encyclical of Pope Pius XI. The Nazis planned to eliminate the church's influence by restricting its organization to purely religious activities, because they were involved in everything else, So they're the ones that are one of the entities that are responsible for causing these different kings of the earth to set up for wars. All right. We'll move on. It says the Pope has a small but deadly army of elite warriors protecting him, and you have what's called the Swiss Guard, and the Swiss Guard is the army of the Vatican. Now, wait a minute. Why do they need an army? Because it goes back to the Crusades. you know, and what they had to do during the time of the Crusades, you know, to set up an army for themselves so that they can be protected. It says, if you have ever visited the Vatican, you have seen the stoic guards that look like they missed the bus to the local Renaissance festival. The truth is that they are a high-end military force made up of top ex-Swiss soldiers, and don't let those spears fool you. They can shred you to pieces with them. If that doesn't work, they have one of the finest firearm collections on the planet to finish the job. And then they're pretty much expert trained assassins. Okay, which the Jesuits is the same thing. The Jesuits are trained to kill if they have to, you know, and that's evident when you look at the oath that they have to take. All right, so this is the Pope's army. So what the hell is a Pope doing with an army? You know, because it goes back to them Crusades. And then you see here is a better picture of this concordat that was signed in 1933. You see this devil here, the Pope. Okay, and let's see. See, Pope Francis builds Vatican army to prepare for coming war. Now, the reason why these devils in the Vatican are doing this is because they're trying to fit what the scriptures say about whenever Israel went to war, the priests would actually be there. Deuteronomy 20:1. When thou goest out to the battle against the enemies and seest horses and chariots and a people more than thou, be not afraid of them. For the Lord thy power is with thee, which brought thee up out of the land of Egypt. And it shall be, when you are come nigh unto the battle, that the priest shall approach and speak unto the people, and shall say unto them, Hear, O Israel, ye approach this day unto the battle against your enemies. Let not your hearts faint, fear not, and do not tremble, neither be terrified because of them. For the Lord your power is he that goeth with you to fight for you against your enemies to save you. So they would use this. I've never seen anything where they actually use the scripture, but when I was reading about their armies and different things, the first thing, this is one of the scriptures that popped in my mind, how the priests will go out to war and they would bless the armies before they actually went and fought. And there was one particular event where Moses was out there. I believe it was the battle between Amalek, where Moses was out there, and you had, you know, he had the stones, tablet, the tables of stone on his arms, and his arms are getting heavy. And as soon as long as he held them high, Israel was winning. But then when his hands got heavy and they started falling, then Israel will start losing. So you had Aaron holding up one arm and Hur holding up the other arm so that Israel could win the battle. You know, so that was an example of the priests going out to battle with the soldiers, you know. So that's pretty much where they got that from. So going back to Revelation 16 and 14, it says, For there are the spirits of devils working miracles, which go forth unto the kings of the earth and of the whole world to gather them to the battle of the great day of the power Almighty. Now, I just got this one thing here. This is an actual book called The Religious Beginnings of an Unholy War. The shocking story of the Catholic Church's role in starting the Vietnam War. Okay? And it says, Avro Manhattan was the world's foremost authority on Roman Catholicism and politics. I just want to jump to the point. This book is more timely than ever. The Vatican Washington axis of the 50s is back again. Oops. Shalakia. It's back again. And it is more sinister than ever. Rome still wants to use the U.S. military to make Russia Roman Catholic and bring about the fulfillment of Fatima. It says, with an immense collection of facts, photos, names, and dates, Manhattan proves that the Vietnam War began as a religious conflict. He shows how America was manipulated into supporting Catholic oppression in Vietnam, supposedly to fight communism. And it was also to get those drugs and, you know, and all of that. You know, but this is also a part of the reason for that war. So the Roman Catholics pushed America to go up into Vietnam the same way them gutter rats are pushing America to go into Iran, you know, because America is the big bully of the planet, you know. So, you know, I'll leave this in the link. This is actually a book, but it's not the actual book. It just breaks the chapters down onto what is contained in each one of these chapters of this book. Okay, So I just wanted to bring that point out to show you how this Roman Catholic Church is involved in creating wars, you know, and manipulating wars and helping wars. And there's another article that says that Pope Francis has invoked World War III. Let's see, invokes World War III. Pope Francis, World War III has begun. Secret of Fatima. Let's see. Pope Francis rubbishes. Right here. Pope Francis has invoked World War III. All right, I got to go back. Pope Francis has invoked World War III, saying that it has begun, and I can't read the rest because it's messed up. But you know, you get the point. You get the picture. All right. So now let's go back here. It says, "Behold, I come as a thief. Blessed is he that watcheth and keepeth his garments, lest he walk naked and they see his shame." And he gathered them together into a place called in the Hebrew tongue Armageddon. Now, when you go to the Greek, because it says it goes back to the Hebrew tongue Armageddon, the Greek word there is Armageddon. All right, and it tells you the hill or city of Megiddo. In Revelation 16, the scene of the struggle of good and evil is suggested by the battle plain of Esdraelon, which was famous for two great victories of Barak over the Canaanites and of Gideon over the Midianites, and for two great disasters, the deaths of Saul and Josiah, hence in Revelation a place of great slaughter, the scene of a terrible retribution upon the wicked. The RSV translates the name as Harmageddon, an example, the hill, as the R is a city of Megiddo. And then when you go here to the root word, etymology, it says it's of Hebrew origin. Har, H2022, which is hill, mountain, hill, country, mount, and Magadwan, which is place of crowds, which is really technically it's is from or of troops, ancient city of Canaan assigned to Manasseh. So it pretty much means of troops. So the name Armageddon from the Hebrew word Harmageddon literally breaks down to mountain of the troops. Okay, why? Because that's where these troops are being amassed. That's where these troops are being amassed over here in what's known as the Middle East. Okay, that's where they're being brought to. And this is the reason why this area is so important, because and that's the reason why the Lord left the name of the river still called Euphrates today. That's spiritual. You know, he didn't let that pass. You know, he didn't let them change it. They changed the Tigris, they changed all the other ones, but they never changed the Euphrates River. The Lord left it as such from the beginning of the creation till now. All right. So it says that they're going to come into this place in the Hebrew tongue called Armageddon, which we read yesterday, is for the Lord is going to plead with them there for what they did to us, you know, and also for what they did to the earth, and I mean everything else that comes along with it. It says, and the seventh angel poured out his vial. Now the seventh angel represents the seventh trumpet, which is the destruction, the total devastation and destruction of America and Esau's system. Now let's go from there to the book of Job, chapter 5, and verse 12. It says, he disappointed. I'm sorry. Go down to 18th verse. For he maketh sore and bringeth up. He woundeth and his hands make whole. He shall deliver thee in 6 troubles, just like the 6th trumpet or the 6th angel. Yea, in 7 there shall no evil touch thee. Because once the 7th trumpet or the 7th angel blows, that's going to be the end. That's the destruction, because the number 7 represents completion. So now, right now, we're at the end of the 6th trouble, just getting ready to go into the 7th. So once the 7th hits, that's it. That's why you see all these different prophecies happening and coming to pass, because we're at the time where this place is about to go down. So the Lord said he will deliver us in 6 troubles, yea, in 7 there shall no evil touch thee. Why? Because the 7th angel or the 7th trumpet, that represents the destruction, as we're reading here in the book of Revelation 16. And the 7th angel poured out his vial into the air. And there came a great voice out of the temple of heaven from the throne saying, it is done. Why? Because all the prophecies are finally fulfilled. Once this war, this third world war, comes to pass, which the scriptures call the battle of Armageddon or the valley of Jehoshaphat. So once that takes place, then all the prophecies will be done, because prior to this being able to happen, the mark of the beast, which is the microchip, has to be fully implemented, and then this war will break out and be fought. And it's not going to take years to fight this war, because they have the missile, the technology of the missiles, So that battle should not take that long, because all they got to do is hit the button, and the Lord is going to make them hit the button. It says, and there were voices and thunders and lightnings, and there was a great earthquake, such as was not since men were upon the earth. So mighty an earthquake and so great. And what's going to cause this earthquake? These missiles hitting America, hitting Israel, hitting certain parts of the world, and that's going to cause the earth to shake violently. Isaiah 28 and 24:18. It says, and it shall come to pass that he who feareth from the noise of the fear shall fall into the pit. Why? Because there's going to be great fear. When you see that movie, what you call it, when you see that movie the day after, I'm not sure if it's going let's see, day after, not sure if it's going to come up. Devastation, that's the whole movie. When you see that, people are going to be afraid with terrible fear. I'm not going to let it play too long, because I don't want them to clip my what you call it. But you brothers can actually see how the people are scrambling and running, Jake getting up, and that's the devastation that's coming. People are going to try to hide, and they're not going to be able to. Okay. So going back, and it shall come to pass that he who feareth from the noise of the fear shall fall into the pit, and he that cometh up out of the midst of the pit shall be taken in the snare. For the windows from on high are open, and the foundations of the earth do shake. And that's what's going to happen. The windows from on high be open. Why? Because the Lord is going to allow these missiles to be shot from one end of the world to the other. That's why they're called ICBMs, or intercontinental ballistic missiles. It says the earth is utterly broken down. The earth is clean dissolved. The earth is moved exceedingly. Why? Because this is going to be the greatest devastation ever. That's why when the prophets used to see the destruction, they would be sick. They would be terrified. They would cry and ask who was going to save them in those days, because this devastation, you got to remember, they saw it in 3D. They actually saw the actual destruction taking place. So they were nervous and scared. Hey, when I saw that movie when I was a youngster, that movie came out, I believe it was 1983. The day after, when I saw that movie, I was nervous. I was like, damn, because that was a reality check. That was the first time that was ever shown on TV of the devastation of nuclear war and what it would have, the devastation it would have on people. So that's an excellent movie to watch if you brothers haven't seen it. It says the earth shall reel to and fro like a drunkard. Why? Because from the missiles hitting it, they're going to be devastating this place so much that it's going to be rocking back and forth on its axis. It's going to be like a earthquake. You have earthquakes, but then you have the whole earth as a quake. You may have certain areas where you have earthquakes happening, and that it's going to be, man, it's going to be terrible. The earth shall reel to and fro like a drunkard, and shall be removed like a cottage, and the transgression thereof shall be heavy upon it, and it shall fall and not rise again. So the Lord said the transgression is going to be heavy upon it because they haven't paid for the things that they've done. It says, and it shall fall and not rise again, meaning that the rulerships that are here on the planet are going to fall, and they're not going to rise ever again. Not the earth itself. Ecclesiastes 1:4. One generation passeth away, and another generation cometh, but the earth abideth forever. So the earth was set up here to abide forever, and man was set up to rule and to live on the earth. So when it says it shall fall and not rise again, it's talking about the rulerships that are here. Because as we know, those of us that are in the know, so to speak, that the Lord set up Esau to be the final ruler of this planet. This is 2 Ezra 6:6. Then did I consider these things, and they all were made through me alone, and through none other. By me also they shall be ended, and by none other. So the Most High set it up, and the Most High is going to take it down. And he set up all these different rulers and kingdoms and empires to rule the planet Earth. And now it's time for them to go. All right. It says, then answered I and said, what shall be the parting asunder of time of the times, or when shall be the end of the first and the beginning of it that followeth? So Ezra wanted to know when the end was going to come, that the Lord spoke about. There's scriptures, what is it, Luke 10:18, Yahushua said, I saw Satan as lightning fall from heaven. That's the fall of Esau. That's the fall of the Edomites and their empire. This great empire that they have amassed and stolen over the years is slowly but surely falling apart, and it's about to be taken out. Like the Lord said, he has broken the staff of the wicked. It says, and he said unto me, from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. Because right now, Esau represents the king of Babylon. At this particular time, Trump represents the king of Babylon. But in ancient times, Salaki, not in ancient times. That's what they represent. They represent the king of Babylon right now. I'm just trying to get some of these precepts that are coming to mind, so I won't forget. Okay, now Psalms 137:7. Remember, O Lord, the children of Edom, the Edomites, in the day of Jerusalem, who said, race it, even to the foundation thereof. So they were the ones that were there to cheer on what was going on to our destruction during the time when the Babylonians came in there. Now Edom is being equated with Babylon. O daughter of Babylon. So the Most High is speaking to Edomites. O daughter of Babylon, who are to be destroyed. Why? Because they weren't destroyed back then, but they were going to be destroyed in the future. Happy shall it be that rewarded thee as thou hast served us. Happy shall he be that taketh that and dasheth thy little ones against the stones. And we're going to do that. So the Lord said to Edom, that is the daughter of Babylon, that they are going to be destroyed. This is the book of Isaiah 14 and 4, that thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon. And that's what we're doing. And say, how have the oppressors ceased? The golden city ceased. The Lord hath broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the rulers. See, so the Lord is the one that's bringing them down. He who smote the people in wrath with a continuous stroke, he that ruled the nations in anger is persecuted, and none hindereth. The whole earth is at rest and is quiet. They break forth into singing. Because once these devils go down, they ain't coming back up. All right? So they're finished. So now back in 2 Ezra 6:9, for Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. And these Edomites will be brought down, and they're the last rulers on the planet. Let me see. I know you got a few brothers that got precepts up, so I'm going to read a couple of these precepts. GMS without remedy. Habakkuk 3:16. When I heard, my belly trembled. That's right. My lips quivered at the voice. Rottenness entered into my bones, and I trembled in myself that I might rest in the day of trouble. That's right. So the prophets, they saw this in visions, and they were scared and nervous. Brother Barazal, Isaiah 24:20, the earth shall reel to and fro like a drunkard, and shall be removed like a cottage, and the transgression thereof shall be heavy upon it, and it shall fall and not rise again. That's right. So this devil's rulership is not going to rise again. The brother KDC, 2 Ezra 15:18, for because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. Yep. For the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up to fight against another, and swords in their hands. There's going to be race riots. That's right. Yep. And 2 Ezra 13 chapter. That's right, brother. Yahushua is king. That goes into the final war to end all wars. When Yahushua comes back to fight and devastate these warring armies that are going to be fighting, one against another. Matter of fact, we could read a little bit of that. 2 Ezra 13 and 1. It says, and it came to pass after 7 days, I dreamed a dream by night, and lo, there arose a wind from the sea, that it moved all the waves thereof. And I beheld, and lo, that man waxed strong with the thousands of heaven. And when he turned his countenance to look, all things trembled that were seen under him. So this is Yahushua coming back with the angels. And everybody's going to tremble, because the scriptures say that, let me see, Revelation 1 and 7, it says, behold, he cometh with clouds, and every eye shall see him, and they also which pierce him, and all kindreds of the earth shall wail because of him. Even so, amen, or so be true. So when Yahushua comes back, people are going to be nervous and scared. The scriptures say that even the elect are going to be nervous, when they see this devastation. But the difference is that the elect will be saved. All right, so it says 2 Ezra 13 and 4, and wheresoever the voice went out of his mouth, all they burned that heard his voice, because they're coming with the lasers from those chariots to destroy this place. That's what's going to be coming, those lasers. Let me just hold that on deck in case. All right, like as the earth faileth when it feeleth the fire. And it's going to fail when it feeleth the fire, because Yahushua said that. He mentioned that. What is that, Matthew? Is that Matthew 6? Bear with me 1 second. Matthew 6 and 30. Wherefore, if the Most High so clothe the grass of the field, which today is, and tomorrow is cast into the oven, so shall he much more clothe you, O ye of little faith. So the Lord set this up. So there's going to be a day when the destruction comes. And even the grass and trees is going to be jacked up. Going to get burnt up. All right. Why? Because Yahushua himself is coming in that manner. This is Luke 22 and 49. No, that's not it. Man, we used to know them scriptures like that. I can't remember. The one that says, I am come to send fire in the earth, and what will I if it be already kindled? All right. So jumping down to the 5th verse in 2 Ezra 13 and 5. And after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men out of number from the four winds of the heaven to subdue the man that came out of the sea. So these devils are going to get together and try to fight against Yahushua. And they're going to lose. All right. There's you can see that in the movie ID4. They show you the fighter jets fighting against the so-called aliens, and they were getting messed up. But Esau, like the devil he is, he had to allow Esau to win, which they're not going to win. But I beheld, and lo, he graved himself a great mountain and flew up upon it. So that great mountain was what? This big, humongous chariot, that Yahushua is coming on. It says, but I would have seen the region or place whereout the hill was graven, and I could not, because you couldn't. He looked around the earth to see where this mountain was taken from on the planet, but he couldn't find it. because it wasn't a mountain. It was an actual, chariot. You know, the size of a mountain. Let me get a couple of these precepts. Oh, this is 1249. I said 2249. I had the combination wrong. All right. Few brothers put it up. I am come to send fire on the earth, and what will I if it be already kindled? Brother GMS Classic Kings, Matthew 16:27. For the Son of Man shall come in the glory of his Father with his angels, and then he shall reward every man according to his works. And that's right. And Esau is going to get fucked up. It's back at 2nd Ezra 13:8. And after this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him were so afraid, and yet durst fight. Because they're going to be nervous, but the Lord's going to put the spirit on them to fight. And lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came, he neither lifted up his hand, nor held sword, nor any instrument of war, but only I saw that he sent out of his mouth as it had been a blast of fire, and out of his lips a flaming breath, and out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempest, and they were all mixed together, the blast of fire, the flaming breath, and the great tempest, and fell with violence upon the multitude, a Armageddon, the mountain of troops, which was prepared to fight, and burned them up every one, so that upon a sudden of an innumerable multitude, nothing was to be perceived, but only dust and smell of smoke. When I saw this, I was afraid, man. That must have been a hell of a scene that Ezra saw, you know. So Yahushua is coming, you know, with the chariots, and already the missiles are going to be being shot, but he's coming with the chariots, and they're going to be firing them lasers out of the chariots. Habakkuk 3:1, a prayer of Habakkuk the prophet upon Shigionoth. O Lord, I have heard thy speech and was afraid. O Lord, revive thy works in the midst of the years. Why? Because the prophecies were spoken at one time, but now they're being revived, or they're being awoken. They're speaking. In the midst of the years, make known, in wrath remember mercy. The Most High came from Teman, and the Holy One from Mount Paran, Selah. His glory covered the heavens, and the earth was full of his praise, and his brightness was as the light. And he had horns coming out of his hand, and there was the hiding of his power. Now, in the red Bible that we have, when you look up the book of Habakkuk, the 3rd chapter, and you look up that precept there in the 4th verse, where it says horns, is a number 5 there. It says, or bright beams out of his side. So those bright beams are what? Those laser beams. And that's the fire. That's the fire that Ezra saw coming out of those chariots. Before him went the pestilence, and burning coals went forth at his feet. And that pestilence is what? There's nuclear destruction. You can read that. It's either, I think it's 2nd Ezra, the 16th chapter, where it calls them plagues. It's the pestilence. He stood and measured the earth. Okay, he stood and measured the earth, and he beheld and drove asunder the nations. And the everlasting mountains were scattered. The perpetual hills did bow. His ways are everlasting. And that's this 3rd World War. Okay, so now jumping back here, I'll read this again. 2nd Ezra 13:10. But only I saw that he sent out of his mouth as it had been a blast of fire, and out of his lips a flaming breath, and out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempests. And they were all mixed together, the blast of fire, the flaming breath, and the great tempest, and fell with violence upon the multitude which was prepared to fight, and burnt them up every one, so that upon a sudden of an innumerable multitude, nothing was to be perceived, but only dust and smell of smoke. When I saw this, I was afraid. So pretty much that was the end of World War III. You know, Yahushua is going to decimate these devils. I'll read a couple of these precepts that brother put on the comment board. The brother Rapah Muff, Hebrews 10:31. It is a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living power. That's right. Brother KDC, Psalms 58:3. The wicked are estranged from the womb. They go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies. Verse 7. Let them melt away as waters which run continually, when he bendeth his bow to shoot his arrows. Let them be as cut in pieces. That's right. And those arrows represent those nuclear missiles. As a snail which melteth, let every one of them pass away like the untimely birth of a woman. that they may not see the sun. That's right. And the brother GMS Winnipeg Prophets, woo! That's right, man. And this is what's coming. You know, this is that's Armageddon. That's the Valley of Jehoshaphat, not the bullshit that Esau talks about Satan and his angels fighting against Yahushua and his angels when they come back up in the heavens. That's total nonsense. All right. So with that, that's pretty much all I have. I already put some of these tabs in the I put some of these tabs already in the description box, and like I said, this is really ain't really all that important, but I just wanted to show how the Vatican has how they have armies, how they create wars, how they started certain wars, and pretty much it says that in that this thing that I had here, it said that there was a union between the Vatican and America, and that's heavy because that's in the scriptures, when it speaks about the dragon and the false prophet and the beast. All right, and this is the unholy trinity of globalist control. I didn't really go into this. This is dealing with the city states, and they're the ones, the Vatican, the city of London, and Washington D.C., which are the ones going around patrolling the earth, and are causing a lot of this chaos that you see going on and bringing forth these wars, and eventually they will bring World War III. And it's heavy because in the Pike Mazzini blueprint, which was Albert Pike and Giuseppe Mazzini, they wrote a blueprint of 3 world wars. You had World War I that happened, you had World War II that happened, and now World War III is mounting up, And let me leave you with that precept there, or that scripture, Revelation 8:13. It says, "And I beheld and heard an angel flying through the midst of heaven, saying with a loud voice, Woe, woe, woe." That's 3 world wars. It didn't say 1, it didn't say 2, it didn't say 4, it didn't say 5. It said, woe, 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 which represents the 3 world wars. To the inhabitants of the earth, by reason of the other voices of the trumpets of the 3 angels, which are yet to sound. And since I read that, let's get Revelation 9 and 13. "And the 6th angel sounded, and I heard a voice from the 4 horns of the golden altar." 12. "One woe is past, and behold, 2 woes more. There come 2 woes more hereafter." So like I'm getting ahead of myself. So if the World War I had passed, and there were 2 more wars left after that. Revelation 11 and 14 said, "The 2nd woe is past, which was World War II, and behold, the 3rd woe cometh quickly." And we're at the time of World War III. So there's only 3 world wars that were going to happen. Not 2, not 1, not 4, not 5, 3. And that's the time we're at right now. We're in the time of this great devastation and the last war to end all wars, which will bring all nations in subjugation under Yahushua and us, the Israelites. So with that, hope you brothers have been edified. To the next time, I say shalom.